When I first laid eyes on that stretch of land just outside Dusty Ridge, Nevada, it didn't feel like I was buying property. It felt like I was reclaiming something I didn't even realize I'd lost. 200 acres of quiet slopes, wind-worn fences, and a half-collapsed stone house that still clung to its dignity. I called it August Hollow. Not after me, not after anyone. Just a name that felt like it belonged there somewhere between forgotten and eternal. I wasn't running from anything, though I had reasons to. I'd spent 20 years engineering irrigation systems for farms I never touched, pitching life-saving water solutions to men in suits who'd never once knelt in soil. My wife, Rachel, she used to tease me for playing God with dead ground while we let our marriage run dry. She passed 3 years before I found the hollow. Cancer. Fast. Mean. Left a quiet in me I didn't know what to do with. So I planted vines. Grapes. Organic. No pesticides, no shortcuts. Just honest roots and clean water pulled from the old aquifer system beneath the valley. I built everything with my own hands with local folks who knew how to shape stone like it remembered something. Solar panels. A gravity-fed wine press. A tasting deck wrapped in jasmine Rachel would have loved. I wasn't part of any HOA, and I made damn sure of that when I bought the land. The nearest one, Granite Pines, was a gated cluster of luxury homes on the ridge above cookie-cutter Tuscan knockoffs with turf lawns and identical tile roofs. I figured we'd coexist. Turns out, they had a different plan. Her name was Celeste Monroe, HOA president, luxury realtor, and self-proclaimed guardian of neighborhood aesthetics. I met her the way most folks in the valley did, through a letter. Cream-colored envelope. Scripted font. She said my vineyard was a visual intrusion on the elevated aesthetic expectations of the ridge. I laughed out loud, poured a glass of my latest vintage, sat on the deck, and wrote her back. Respectfully, I'm not in your HOA. Please check your plat maps. A hollow. I even attached a scanned copy of my deed, signed in 1891, with water rights notarized by a judge who died before electricity reached the valley. I figured that'd be the end of it. But people like Celeste, they don't take no as a boundary. They take it as a challenge. Weeks passed. Then came the clipboard men. One claimed to be from environmental oversight, another from fire mitigation. None had badges. All had vague concerns about unauthorized irrigation and rural risk compliance. I offered coffee. I asked for credentials. They had none. Just business cards with job titles that sounded made up. Still, I knew better than to brush it off. Power rarely shows up with fonts it creeps in like mold. Then came the letter stuffed through my gate, this time hand-delivered by some 20-something in khakis and mirrored sunglasses. He said it was a formal notice of HOA concern. I told him he was standing on land not governed by any HOA. He said, "That's a matter of community interpretation." I said, "Get off my land before it becomes a matter of trespass." That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared. I've seen worse. But because I could feel the shift. Something wasn't just about aesthetics, Anna Maria, it was about control. About sending a message. Celeste had gotten pushback, and she wasn't used to that. I figured she'd escalate. I just didn't expect bulldozers. I left town for 3 days to attend a wine expo in Sacramento. Loaded up the truck with brochures, a few crates of our new reserve, and a plan to meet with a French distributor who was finally taking an interest in the valley. I kissed the gate on my way out, told the vines to behave, and drove off without a second thought. When I got back, it wasn't the same gate waiting for me. The iron bars were twisted like they'd been shoved by something too big and too careless. My boots hit the gravel, and for a moment, I didn't hear birds, wind, or even the drip of the pavilion's fountain. Just silence. The kind that screams. 2 acres of vineyard were gone. Flattened. Not uprooted, crushed. Vines splintered like ribs. Irrigation lines shredded. My tasting deck? Gone. Shattered tiles. Bar top, made from reclaimed wine barrels, obliterated. The chandelier Rachel and I bought in Florence, the one we swore we'd hang in our retirement home, its brass spine stuck out of the rubble like a broken finger. And the old jasmine-wrapped arch, the one that had survived prohibition, fire season, and my clumsy pruning dumped on its side like trash. I just stood there. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. That land was my soul poured into soil. And someone had turned it into a battlefield. Then I heard gravel crunch. My neighbor, Eli Ramirez, pulled up in his beat-up Silverado, face white as chalk. "Thank God you're back," he said. "I've been calling." They came out of nowhere bulldozer, crew, some guy waving permits. Claimed it was an emergency action from the city. Permits. I knew damn well I hadn't applied for anything. Turned out Celeste had. Forged ones. With fake notary stamps, fake environmental clearances, and a demolition order co-signed by a fire marshal who didn't exist. She'd paid a private contractor with HOA funds and used an old fire access road to bring in the crew while I was gone. No one saw them until the vines were already bleeding. They didn't just destroy my vineyard. They tried to erase it. But you don't spend a life building something from dirt without learning how to fight back, without lifting a fist. By that evening, I had 4 people on the phone: me lawyer, my surveyor, my insurance adjuster, and a water rights consultant named Marla Tran, who owed me a favor from back when I helped her find a hidden spring in the Mojave. I said one word: violation. She cleared her week. Turns out, Granite Pines had built their fancy homes and koi ponds on top of a hydrological network fed directly by my aquifer. My land. My water. Their sprinklers didn't hum unless I let them. That night, I shut off the supply. Not out of vengeance, out of sovereignty. By the 3rd day, Granite Pines was wilting. Their emerald lawns curled like parchment. Clubhouse plants turned brittle. HOA emails begged for volunteer irrigation solutions. One guy in a pastel polo came to my gate, sweating, sunglasses fogged. "Sir," he said, "is this temporary?" "My wife's orchids." I handed him a laminated printout of the California Water Code. Didn't say a word. Then came the lawsuit. Filed, served, stamped. $4.8 million in damages: fraud, destruction, trespass, and misuse of HOA funds. Celeste and the HOA board were named personally. Her contractor flipped immediately. Said she told him, quote, "He won't sue. He lives in a barn and bottles juice." She underestimated the barn. Courtroom was packed. Neighbors, reporters, even a few old co-op members who used to avoid me at feed stores. Satellite imagery showed every step of the bulldozer. Entry logs proved she'd authorized the keycard herself. The notary whose stamp she forged broke down on the stand. The judge stared at the photos, especially the crushed garden arch, and said, "This stood for over a century. You destroyed it for a view." Celeste didn't say a word. Her lawyer stammered about ecological risk and visual conformity. The judge wasn't moved. Verdict: guilty on all counts. The HOA paid every cent. Celeste sentenced to 12 years. No parole. There was no applause. Just breath, like a valley finally exhaling after years of drought. Afterward, Granite Pines collapsed inward. Board dissolved. Third-party auditors found years of misuse: personal retreats, kitchen remodels, fake invoices. But instead of falling apart, the neighbors did something I never saw coming. They rebuilt. Formed a new HOA, this time with transparency, term limits, open votes. Even Eli asked if I'd help rewrite their water agreement. I said yes. The vineyard's back now. New vines. New trellises. The arch, welded into a sculpture. Symbol of what survived. A new sign hangs above the rebuilt tasting deck. Hand-carved. It reads, "This land is watered by law, labor, and the lessons of Celeste Monroe." We called the new vintage August Mercy. It sold out in 3 days. Some folks say revenge is best served cold. Me? I think justice just tastes better when it's aged right. So tell me, this was it justice? Or was it personal? You decide. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and if you've ever had a run-in with HOA madness. I'm all ears.